Welcome back everyone to more of our custom career mode and career experience. And we're coming off of a great race at Charlotte. It went a lot better than I originally thought. We talked about during the race how this is not one of my best racetracks. I don't have a good feel for the car or the track there. It races so narrow. All those things I feel like are going against me at that place, but I set the car up to be pretty conservative. I didn't try to find that edge of the loose side and, wearing the right rear out. I didn't go for that at Charlotte the way I have at some of the other places. So we had to race with patience. We had a setup that didn't quite have the overall speed in it, but we were patient. We worked our way through traffic. We didn't do anything crazy, and we came out with a fantastic finish. So let's go ahead and start with our qualifying position, which was last. And I can't remember where that was because I'm continually working with that car set. So I'm just going to put 28th in there, although it could have very easily been 27th or something like that. But this is informational only, so that's why I'm not going to be too terribly worried about it. Now, the race finish. We ended up with a top 5. We came in 4th position in that race. So if we take into account our relative performance, that is our first top 30 finish. Actually, that's our best finish by a long shot so far this year. But because that's a crown jewel event, look at what it does to our race purse. That's why it is so vital to focus on those crown jewel events. You want to know why in real life everybody shows up with a car to Daytona to try to make the field? That's why. The purses are so much higher at the crown jewel events, and I've done the same thing here in the career experience. But of course, as we've talked about before, and I talk about specifically in the career experience videos, here are your event modifiers. Do whatever you want with them. There are 7 of them. I've got one for a championship. We've got crown jewel, special events, standard events, and then I've thrown a few extra in there that I don't plan to use very much at all, particularly in the NASCAR series. But they're all there. Use them however you like. It gives you a lot of variety in the types of events and payouts that you run. So that $228,000 is definitely going to help us out. Now, we need to get a new sponsor. We talked about that last time, but we'll come back to that in just a moment. But already, of course, we don't have any driver salary to throw in there. We don't have any damage. Look at what that did for our profitability just because it was a crown jewel event. That is what we like to see. And of course, once we add our sponsor in here, let's go ahead and scroll over so we can see all 4 sponsors. All right, generate some sponsors for me. So we were at roughly $126,000 per race before. And as I quickly glance over, we don't want, even though it's for 20 races, we don't want 100,000. We don't want 88,000. We've got 123,000, 124,000, 7 races, 20 races. Where do we want to go? Well, if I felt like anytime in the next reasonable future we were going to be able to upgrade this marketing level, I would go with the shorter distance, the shorter length here. But because I have some other priorities that are definitely going to trump the marketing level, I'm going to go ahead and actually take just a touch less money. I mean, keep in mind, we're talking $1,000, but I want this longer sponsor length. That's what I'm looking for here. Because the idea of getting 4 sponsorship offers that look like these 2 is not appealing at all right now. Again, we'll get some better ones in the future. This is actually below what I would consider the minimum level to run a cup team. But I'm going to go ahead and take this one. And I think this is going to serve us quite well for quite a number of races. So with that in mind, let's come back over and see that this time Charlotte was very good to us. We made a profit of over $200,000 on that race with some pretty terrible marketing offers, all things considered, for the Cup Series. So now let's talk for just a moment about where we go in the future. So you can see I've filled in what I'm going to call the remainder of our 2022 season. So remember, we only have the one chassis right now. the one chassis type for the downforce tracks. So I decided to put in a few more of these. Now there are some more tracks that we could run available through iRacing and support AI, but I don't own those tracks. So we're having to go with what we've got here. So we're headed to Dover. Now Dover is a lot of fun, but it can be extremely treacherous with the AI. The AI can get pretty wild there. So we're gonna have to be careful at Dover, but we're looking for another strong race. We've been doing great so far this season, and I expect nothing less moving forward. After Dover, we're headed to Homestead. For Homestead, Miami, then we go to New Hampshire and Gateway to finish things up in the season, and then we'll see where we go from there. What I would like to do next season, again, priorities. We have a lot of goals right now for what we can do and where we can go, and not just this series, but all of the series that we're dealing with. So one thing I would like to do is, at a minimum, change this to a 2 and pick up a new chassis so that we can go to maybe super speedways, maybe short tracks. We'll just have to see. I don't have any desire really in iRacing to run the road courses. Something may change in the future to change that, but right now I'm staying away from those in iRacing. But I'd like to at least purchase another chassis. Now it won't be the full 950 for reasons we've talked about in the past, but I'd like to do that and expand our season in next year in 2023. But that's my goal for this series. Now obviously we also have a couple of other goals in this series. One being the relative performance. We'd like to start eating away at that, but they're expensive in the Cup Series. It takes a lot of money to improve your car. $250,000 per point. So basically per position on the track. That is a lot of money that we simply don't have and probably aren't going to have any time soon. So when I talked about when we started using this spreadsheet, that if you get yourself behind like we did voluntarily and put yourself at the back of the field, it can be very difficult to move your way forward and become a top team. That's the idea. That is exactly what I wanted. So this will probably be one of the last adjustments we do, at least on a significant scale. I might do 1 or 2 here or there to try to improve that, but overall it'll probably be one of the last things we do here in the Cup Series. Then, of course, we've got our marketing level. As a team, we want this to be 15. That's where it needs to be for the Cup Series for us to really get the money that we need. But right now, we're nowhere near getting there. And of course, we could pick up some more investors and we could be there right now. But I've chosen not to do that. We got our one investor at the very beginning, gave us a lot of money to set up some fantastic goals for the future and performance for the future. But that's as far as I really want to go right now. So the next step will be level 13, and that's 2.25 million. Now we could get there, but it would mean foregoing some other goals that we have, and that brings us back to series number 5. Now on the home screen, you might have noticed we have just under $1 million right now, 957,000. So what I want to do first, this has been my number one goal for quite a while now, and that is expanding to a 4-team operation here in the Asphalt Super Late models. I have to say Asphalt Super Lates because we're going to be owning a DIRT Super Late model team soon enough. So we need to go ahead and expand here, which means we need to hire another driver, pick up a new marketing deal. All of that needs to happen. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and purchase that. You can see how much it costs there, $577. Once again, leaving it at one chassis type. Same thing, $160,000 here. So we spent what, a little over 700 grand here, 750 grand for those. We hop back over to the home screen. We're down to 219,000, almost 220,000. Not too bad, but we got some races to run. All right, but let's take a moment and take a step back just for a second. Okay, we're about to expand. We're about to pick up our final driver here in the Super Late. But if we come back and take a look at the the overall picture, okay, of the picture from 30,000 feet in the air, it becomes a little more clear. You can probably get an idea of where I'm trying to go in the future because we can move some drivers up. Okay, we've already talked about what we're going to do in the Midget series. We've already talked about the 3 drivers that we're going to sign there when we're ready to sign and begin that team. But then we're going to pick up some super late model drivers in the dirt. We already have some for the asphalt. Then we've got some decisions to make on who we move up through the tiers. Do we choose some of the drivers that are already with us at the lower tiers? Or do we try to sign some new drivers? Those are the decisions we're going to be making in the future. But this is why, one of the reasons why it was so important for me to get some of these lower tier teams up and running. We need some drivers to choose from in case we want to move some of them up through the ladder series. All right, so let's go back over to series number 5. So we need to hire a driver. That means we're back to the home screen and we're going to choose the interested drivers tab right here at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is, once again, I'm going to press F9 to refresh. And well, we can't have Carson Quapple. We already have him. So we're going to go ahead and hit this again. Although this generation really wants me to have Carson Quapple. Sammy Smith. Okay, another great driver. Certainly happy to have him. Of course, if you're familiar with the ARCA series, you'll know that Sammy Smith's been doing a lot of ARCA racing here recently. So Sammy is a level 17. So that's going to fit in quite nicely with our current group. So let's go ahead and once again paste values, not a standard copy paste. All right, there we have it. So he's a level 16. So now you can see we've got 3 level 16s and a level 17. So let's go ahead and put a 4 there next to him so it will bring in his salary. There's our overall driver salary for the series. And yeah, I like it. That is 3 top tier drivers that we have at the super late model level. Now, in all fairness, the super late model level is one of the thinnest driver selections that I have here in the spreadsheet. Speaking of the drivers for hire area, a lot of the series have a lot more options than the asphalt super late model, so keep that in mind. But I'm very happy to have 3 top tier drivers and 1 tier 2 driver if we're talking about the series itself. All right, so we've got that taken care of. Next thing we need to do, well, we're going to need a sponsor for these guys. All right, so we're ready for the fairgrounds because of course we are. Let's go ahead and move things over. So I'm going to need a sponsor for this spot right here. All right, there we go. Generate. And so we've been looking at 47,000 is our best sponsor, but everybody else is at least in the 40,000 range. So here we got 51. I like that one already. These 2 at the end I immediately don't want. They're in the 20s. Nope, don't want those. So we've got 47,000. We've got 51,000, but it's only for 2 races. And I'm okay with that. At this point, we're going to take that. It's only 2 races, but that does not scare me away. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that in right here. Make sure I get everything lined up and we're in the cells we need to be in. All right, these others will fill in once we get our generated race results. So now we're going to fill in all 4 teams from this point forward. So we need to generate a couple of race finishes. So we're going to do 2 as we have been doing. Now we may need to speed that up a little bit, and who knows, we might need one video where all we do is finish off the season, because the season here in the super lates for me is going to be 31 races, with the final race being the crown jewel at the fairgrounds, the All-American 400. So we need to get there by the time we get to the end of our Cup Series, or pretty close to it anyway. So let's go ahead and generate a couple of finishes. Remember, we have 3 top tier drivers. So what we've been doing is we've been doing 16, 17, and 21. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do 11, 16, 17, and 21. Again, you've got some options here. You can do a lot of different things, but that's what I've decided to do. 11, 16, 17, and 21. All right, so once again, F9. So we have 7, 7. We'll go ahead and make that an 8, since obviously we can't finish 7th with both of our drivers. So 7, 8, 24, and 6. 6, 7, 8, and 24. Not bad at all. You'll also notice that I'm not going to worry too much about the order I get them in, because I'm not evaluating drivers here. We're just needing to get some numbers in here. So I'm just going to put them in the easiest way for me to remember them: 6, 7, 8, and 24. So kind of rough if you're the 4th driver here. But again, remember, it's not that big a deal. It's all about generating these finishes and having some fun. Although, I highly recommend, if you really want to have some fun with these drivers, then by all means, make sure you get all the finishes in the right spot, and then have some fun looking at their average finishes and maybe making some decisions about who you keep and who you move on from as a driver. That is another level that you can certainly take it. But here at the fairgrounds, I mean, 6, 7, and 8, not bad. 24th, not as good. So that means we have some damage to generate. So outside the top 20, we're going to generate some damage. So we'll take care of that. I also noticed that Crocs, their sponsorship has run out. So I need to generate another sponsor. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is not what I wanted at all. This is why I really like the longer sponsorship deals whenever possible, because we got 36,000, 24, 29, and 12. Oh, could you imagine if you got 4 options? None of them are anywhere close to the others. That would be dreadful. But here, not as good this time. Thankfully, it was at least in the mid-30s. So we'll go ahead and take Activision. I mean, Activision, y'all got that money. Y'all could have spread some out for us. Could have showed us the love. But as things stand, 37,000, we'll take it. Not as much as last time, but hey, it's what we've got. So let's scroll across. Remember, we're going to say this was Team 4 that generated this. So what do we get? I'm going to go ahead and refresh this. Oof, that hurts. Why did I refresh that? I should have just left well enough alone, shouldn't I? But now we've got 4. A total loss. So we got to replace an entire chassis, 60 grand. Why did I do that? I know better than that. But that, as I've said before, is part of the fun for me. It's the random events like that I cannot control. Things just happen, and that makes me feel a little bit more like an owner. So here we do 100%. There's our 60 grand to replace a chassis. Woo! All right, so we had a good event going. We were going to make quite a bit of money. Now we're down to 81, and remember, I haven't put the driver's salary in yet. So yeah, this event didn't go well. We're down to a profit of only 44 grand. Oh, ouch. That one hurt the pocketbook. To show up with 4 teams of top quality drivers and to make less money than we made back when we had just 2 active clean driving. Oh, that's rough. That's rough. Which is going to be hard to build a team on race events like that one. The damage is killer. And now you get a front row seat to see exactly how damaging it can be. Okay, so that takes care of the fairgrounds. We got one more race to do. So let's go ahead and do North Wilkesboro. And again, let's come down here and let's do our generation. 11, 16, 17, and 21. So in case you're wondering why I keep calling those numbers out, it's to help me remember which ones I'm looking at. So F9 to refresh. So we've got 16, 10, 13, and 10. So what do we have? 10, 11, 13, and 16. 10, 11, 13, and 16. All right. So again, not too bad. The biggest thing is we didn't have any damage this time around. That is by far and away the biggest thing. No damage. this time. So even though the finishes overall don't look as good, we're going to come out making more money here. Now, we also noticed that, well, our sponsorship with Books A Million is going to end. So we'll deal with that next time. But other than that, we need to come back here and grab the driver's salary. Okay, no damage this time. So we made $104,000. Okay, I can live with that. That works a lot better for me. $104,000. Yes, please. All right, so now that we have a couple of races under our belt as a 4-car team, let's talk about what's next for us. We've got $369,000. Okay, and we already know what series we want to start up in next, the midgets. So let's hop over and let's take a look. What do we have? $370,000. So obviously it's not going to cost us a whole lot here for this. So we have a small garage, or even our own personal garage, for 15 grand, and 53,000 for a chassis. That's not bad at all. That's 68 grand. Now, it's going to be a little more expensive than that to move to a 2-car team, because we're going to need to buy some land and then get into building an actual garage for our team, an actual facility for our folks. But we got a team started for 68 grand. So now if we come back to the home screen, we still got 300 grand, not enough to continue with our expansion. We don't have enough to buy this land and move into a 2-car team, but we've got enough that we can hire Kaylee Bryson to drive our car. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put a 1 there. So you can see the salary for the midgets, not that much. As we move our way down the ladder, you're going to see exactly that. Okay, so she is a level 29. And to give you an idea of where that is, if we find that here, then you can see that is a level, or a tier 4, if you will, of this particular series. So that means in the future, we're going to want to move her up the list. We're going to want to improve her as a driver. So while we've got a bit of money here, for a moment, because you can see I'm taking this one to the ragged edge as far as the money goes. So why don't we try to improve her? Let's see what we can do with her. Remember, 300 grand. So if we end up wrecking in our next cup race, we're going to have to go looking for some investors to get some money. Hoping that doesn't happen, but that's what we would be looking at. All right, so let's see what we can do with Kaylee. All right, and you can see, I mean, these drivers, all 3 of them are right down at the bottom, 29s and 30s. So Kaylee will start with her, and you can see, well, to get her up to a level 26, and by the way, just so you'll know where I'm getting these numbers, 26 is going to be a tier 1 for this particular series. So 26 is our goal for now for her. All right, so we've already got Kaylee Bryson in here. So if we go purchase, 18 grand, purchase 21 grand, and then purchase 25 grand. Now she is a level 26. That is what we wanted. Here at this lower level, we spent some money, and you can look at this as training for her, more track time, practice, or you can look at it from the equipment side of things and say, hey, we worked on some better equipment for you. So we helped you out by getting, a stronger engine. We got better parts and pieces, setups, and so forth. Hired some better people. All of those are possibilities. However you want to look at this area is up to you, but it gives you another level of progression. All right, so we got that taken care of, level 26. But of course, we need to do our beginning of the year, our beginning adjustment, and we'll go ahead and do our loss, and we're going to put a 25 in here. Now, how much is it going to cost us to overcome that? Let's see, 3,700. So that's going to be what? We're going to call it a little over 70 grand Okay, we're good. We're good. We have that amount of money, I believe, anyway, if my math is going well. And I'm just going to put, doesn't really matter what you put here. It's completely up to you. You don't have to put anything at all if you don't want to. So we're going to do a purchase of 25 and okay, 93 grand. Yeah, I thought we were going to have enough there overall to get there. So that brings us way down on our balance. So we overspent, quite frankly, but I really wanted to get this team started. So now we're back to a relative performance of 0 with Kaylee Bryson as our driver, and she is now a top tier driver. So she should have an opportunity to finish at the very top. But before we run any races for her, we're going to need a sponsor. So let's get a sponsor. Can you see how this is very quickly going to become a handful, particularly if you were trying to run races in a racing game or sim to try to get all of these results? It would be a lot. So let's go ahead and generate. But first, I'm going to make sure of a couple of things. Make sure that A1 is showing the midgets. I knew it was because of some things we've already seen. But our marketing level for the series is level 6, so we're not going to get quite the marketing offers that we've seen in other series, but that's okay. We knew that going in. So let's go ahead and generate our first sponsor. Okay, here we go. What do we have? I see 9,000, I see 17, I see 9, 13, and this one is fantastic. 19 races, almost the max. So Staples, we appreciate your time and your interest. So we're going to drop you in right here, and there you have it. So not bad, 17 grand on that one. Now you can always find out what the absolute maximum sponsor is for this level by heading over to the sponsor money area, but I like to be surprised. So here we need to generate a finish with our number 1 team. So let's hop back over. Remember, level 26 for Kaylee. So I'm just going to go ahead and use level 26 and F9. Ooh, 5th position. Oh, I like it. I like it. That's how you impress the new boss, right there. 5th place position. We're going to get $1,300. Remember, standard event here. So not a huge race purse here in the midgets, but as we work our way across, you can see we've only got 1 team right now. So total income, $18,400. We need to drop in our salary amounts. Remember, normally you would want to do a quick copy paste on the marketing level, but we're well beyond the max marketing level for this series. That's why I'm not doing it. But normally, just in case you increased your marketing level in the future, you would want to take care of a copy paste there. Of course, no damage with a great finish. And we come out with a profit of 13 grand. So that's not going to make us a lot of money, but it got us where we wanted to go. Now let's just take a quick look. What happens if we have damage? Well, a total loss would be $8,200. And you can see that combined with the fact that our race purse amount would be quite a bit less. It's hard to make any money if your drivers are damaging equipment. So at best, we would have made about 4 grand on that, and I'm guessing we would have been struggling to break even again because our finish would have been quite a bit worse, somewhere in the 20s or even 30s for that matter on a randomly generated finish. So yeah, hard to make any money at all if you're damaging race cars. That's why it's so important for those race finishes. So that is race number 1. Okay, now let's move back over. We need to get one more race finish in. Again, we're looking at number 26 here. F9. Oh, seriously? Like, she is really, really trying to impress the boss. You want to talk about somebody who's taking advantage of the opportunity. Now, this is a great time to show you what happens if you miss something. All right, so I just put in my race finish and it says NA, an error message. Now NA, an error message is showing up in the series profit or loss. What on earth happened? Remember back to the other videos, and again, I highly recommend you watch the career experience videos. There are 2 of them as of this recording that go in great detail about how this works. When you see an error message like this, it means you forgot to input something in a cell. And that's an easy one right here. It's the event type. Look for that red arrow in the top right-hand corner, and you can see it tells us this is a required field. So we need to put standard event in there, and lo and behold, everything comes back to life just as we need it to. So there we go. Let's go ahead and move our way across. Let's get our driver's salary in there. And this is a great opportunity to see what happens when you win the race. 16 grand. So yeah, it's more money for sure. About 3 grand more than what we had by finishing 5th, but it's nowhere near as big a difference in the money as the marketing level will make. Marketing level is the key to everything. Increase that, and that is how you're going to move your way up through the tiers, by making money. So 16 grand of profit, and might I say that Kaylee Bryson is making quite the impression here in her tenure with the team. Also, I might add that the team has provided some great equipment. So this is an amazing start to our season. So we'll go ahead and fill in some more races, do some different events, special events, crown jewels, you name it, in the future. But for right now, this has been so much fun that we're going to end it here for today. We're not going to be running a cup race in today's video. We'll save that until next time. So for today, thank you guys so much for joining me, and stick around for more custom career mode and career experience.